Who is to say this won't be the best show yet? It is show number 50, 50, Nebraska Cornhuskers Live. Yeah. And here's the guy that makes it all happen.
Double nickels? I had no idea.
Greg Peterson, Husker Online. Myself, Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. Here we are on our Huskers channel, the Voice of College Football. So you guys know the deal. Leave your comments and questions, and we will get to them. Greg, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Mark. How about you?
I'm doing well. You're 50 for 50.
Am I now?
You must be, right? I
Yeah.
haven't done a show without you.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I may, you know what? Oh, I've done a couple of those post gamers where you weren't around.
Okay.
How about
I'm
that?
going to pat myself on the back too, because I'm 50 for 50 as well. So, all right. Well, let's dive into the news. And we've gotten to a point where just about everybody's done playing football. LSU and Kansas State are playing the last bowl game tonight at the Texas Bowl. And then we got that national championship thing.
Yeah, we almost forget about that one that's going on next Monday night, right? I guess unless you're in Alabama or Georgia. But
there we are.
And I guess that's pretty fitting because, in my opinion, that's the two best teams out there, and they've been the best two teams all year, and it's only fitting that they play each other for
the
title.
Tough to debate that. It is tough to debate that. All right. Well, the transfer portal brought an offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. And speaking of bowl games, they had what Mike Gundy called their biggest win in program history when they beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl, coming back from 3 touchdowns down. And Hunter Anthony was part of that accomplishment, but he's headed to Lincoln.
Yeah, he's a guy that, on the offensive line that has a pretty good fit here, and actually has a lot of connections to Donovan Raiola as well. So that was it's something that we've been hearing about for a while, that he was going to be heading this way, and he had talked that over with Coach Gundy at Oklahoma State and decided to go ahead and play in the Fiesta Bowl before announcing that he was transferring to Nebraska. So that's a big get for Nebraska. He's a guy that can play either guard or tackle, and a guy that has a lot of experience under his belt already at a high level, and is going to come in here and compete in a position group that's basically wide open and ready for competition right now going into spring ball. So, he's going to be here and enroll in classes here. Classes start January 18th, and he'll be ready to go for spring ball. And, he's a guy that's he's a graduate. He's already graduated, and he's got 2 years of eligibility left. So, Nebraska gets a much needed body on the offensive line to compete with what they already have on board right now.
Okay, so that's Hunter Anthony coming in from OK State, and must be a pretty good player. Rave reviews coming in from offensive line coach Raiola, and
I had mentioned that Hunter had a couple of former teammates there on the Bears that were playing under Coach Raiola there, and a lot of good connections there, and I think that helped out things quite a bit, just because there was some familiarity there, and I think he should be a good fit here. A guy that obviously likes to play the way that Coach Raiola likes to coach, as far as we've learned so far. A little bit different than what Greg Austin did here on the offensive line, a little bit more of an aggressive type of offensive line coach. So we'll see if that whips the offensive line into shape coming into next season, and maybe get a little more production out of there, where people have been asking, scratching their head a little bit, asking questions like, why is this offensive line not better? And we'll see what happens. They've made those changes, and they're adding to it on a daily basis, and they're always looking to add more.
Our guy Allen is not only telling everyone to hit the like button and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football Nebraska, but he's also saying that he is hearing.
Excuse me.
Greg's playing hurt a little bit. He's a gamer.
Yeah, we're okay.
Playing good. So Allen is telling us that he has heard that Nebraska will offer former Oklahoma quarterback Caleb Williams.
Well, there's a lot of strange things going on right now on that front. Obviously we know that Nebraska is, definitely in the market for a transfer portal quarterback. And like we were talking about last week, is basically everybody's understanding that they're going after two of them. So right now, what we know is that Chubba Purdy, the Florida State transfer, has an official visit lined up for January 14th. Classes start here in Lincoln on January 18th. And, Nebraska is looking to get those probably two quarterbacks to be filled here. And, right now, besides Chubba Purdy, we talked also a lot about Casey Thompson as well. And everything that we're hearing right now, too, is that Casey Thompson now is also kind of upticked things and is making a visit, an unofficial visit on his own dime here as soon as it could have happened today. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So you already know that there's two guys coming in that are highly interested in the program and have ties to what's going on here right now. And then, with all the craziness that just happened with Oklahoma and UCLA, now there's another quarterback out there available. So obviously, I think Nebraska is a no-brainer. That Nebraska, if they haven't already extended an offer, that will be coming. And I wouldn't, I'm not going to try to douse any fires or anything, or start any kind of rumors, but that also is a highly possible thing that I'm hearing right now too. So that's what we're dealing with right now, Mark. I mean, it is so crazy right now with this transfer portal has just blown college football up, and you don't know if you're going after a guy and you think you got your guy, and then all of a sudden it opens up the next day and there's somebody else there that, oh my goodness, maybe that's our guy. And it's just nuts right now. And I really expect that Nebraska is, they've taken as much time as I think they can. And, as the week draws on here, I wouldn't be surprised to hear maybe that one guy is locked in, and then we'll wait for a week or two and see. But what I'm thinking is that a Chubba Purdy is a guy that they're looking at for the future. He's got 4 years of eligibility left, so he's a guy that I think they're looking at for the future to come in and compete with Logan Smothers and Heinrich Harburg. And then you're going after a Casey Thompson type guy to come in right now and lead this team. If you want to add another name onto that list, I'm all for that, and it sounds pretty good to me.
Well, like you, I was thinking the same thing in regards to the probability that Nebraska or anyone would get two high-level quarterbacks. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that a Casey Thompson would sign with Nebraska if Nebraska is also getting Caleb Williams. You think that they're going to get two quarterbacks because they need that for the quarterback room. But one, it's going to be a developmental guy. Then the other is going to be the guy like a Casey Thompson who led the Big 12 in touchdown passes that can step right in and is most likely going to win the job.
But, obviously we know what Nebraska is coveting and what they want. And this whole crazy thing about this transfer portal is it's caused so much competition in the transfer portal to now that, you got a guy like Casey Thompson that all of a sudden ooh, man, you know what? I better make my mind up quicker than I thought I was going to, because there's another guy now that's coveted, and you know what? He might take my spot if I don't pull the trigger right now. So this is crazy stuff to be watching right now. It's really exciting. I mean, it's so much. I mean, like we've said so many times, it's NFL free agency in the college level now, and to me, I think it's pretty cool. But to a head coach, he's got to be losing his hair left and right. I mean, it's just got to be killing the coaching staffs around the country.
The head coaches, yeah, can't like it because
No.
the roster structure, the roster maintenance is just crazy. It's tough enough just with the regular transfers that you had in the past, plus obviously recruiting and just keeping, as you know better than I do, them having a coach that just keeps the numbers, basically just figuring out the numbers. And now that job has become 50 times more complicated with all this stuff that could possibly be happening. And anybody at any point just letting you know, hey, I'm going to enter the transfer portal, which makes it 50,000 times crazier than the NFL free agency because there's only a small portion of the league in any given offseason that can be free agents in the NFL, but anybody can be a free agent in college football.
You can decide tomorrow that you know what, I'm throwing my name out there.
Yeah.
There might not be a spot for me, but I just, I want to change the scenery. It's, I mean, that's what the head coach has always been used to, recruiting a kid that is going to be there for you for 4 years, maybe 5 years. And this whole transfer portal thing has just blown that out of the water. And I don't know. It's hard to say that it's going to stay like this. I mean, sooner or later, it's got to calm down in my mind. I think the newness of it will wear off a little bit, and kids will start realizing that the grass might not be greener somewhere else. I'm in a pretty good spot where I'm at right now. Maybe I should just stick it out and compete where I'm at right now. And I think that's the way it might start. Will wind down here after a year or two, hopefully, but I don't know.
Yeah, so similar to players not opting out. I don't want to use that phrase because obviously we're talking about bowl games, but talking about players declaring themselves early for the NFL draft, similar to that, where that was obviously increasing every year, but then a lot of feedback was coming back, and we were seeing some negative stories just in regards to players who thought too highly of themselves were receiving inaccurate feedback, and then they weren't getting drafted, or they were being drafted much lower than they anticipated. Of course, the NFL then provided the service of providing a draft prospectus of sorts, a draft report that would show the player where they're being evaluated so that they could make an accurate and informed decision. So similar to, and that, so now it's leveled off to where generally the players that are declaring early for the NFL draft have reason to do so. And so maybe the same thing will happen here. Number one, as long as the NCAA holds fast to this rule that there's only a one-time exemption for transfer, and then the next time you have to sit out a year. As long as that, that's obviously going to curb it, I would think, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And then exactly what you're saying, that players the word will get out there that this guy transferred and it didn't work out. That guy transferred, it didn't work out. And also there's just too many names in the pipeline that, from what I understand, I haven't seen exact numbers, but half the players in the transfer portal are just sitting there.
Yeah. So what do you do in the meantime? You're not getting your education anymore. You don't have any chance for NIL, and your football career is on hold. So yeah, it's a hard decision to make, and you hit the nail right on the head there when once this not having to sit out a year penalty goes back into place, it's going to change a lot of things in the transfer portal as well. So Yeah, it's just right now. It's just such a crazy time, and it'll calm down definitely. And yeah, I think guys will start figuring it out that yeah, this thing's not for me. I made a commitment to a coach and a coaching staff, and if that coach and that coaching staff is still in place, is where I'm talking about too. I mean, all bets are off if that coaching staff leaves and stuff. Then yeah, you can't blame a kid for leaving, but um, you know, there's so many different circumstances involved anyway. I mean, you can even go, if you watch the Citrus Bowl the other day and watched Wandale Robinson just go crazy for Kentucky. I think every Husker fan watching that game was rooting for Wandale Robinson, especially because they were playing Iowa, and you watch him go, 10 catches for 170 yards and sets up the game-winning touchdown for the Wildcats, and amazing stuff. And that's a kid that, he was here for a couple of years and he represented the university to its fullest, and just a great kid all around. And there's no way that you could ever root against him. And if you do, if you're a Husker fan and you did root against him, then shame on you. But yeah, sometimes it does work out when you leave. He went back home, and there was reasons for that as well. And you know what? Sometimes it works out for the best. So what can you say? That's one of the good stories that comes out of transferring and the transfer portal like that, opposed to how many bad ones. So that's where we're at these days.
What I took away from his performance in watching that game was thinking, man, Nebraska went 3-9 this year. They lost every game by one score. I know technically, for anybody that's going to call me on this, the Ohio State game was not technically a one-score game, but basically was. They kicked a field goal with 90 seconds left to make it 9 points. But anyway, they basically lost every game by one score. What would Wandale Robinson have meant to – I got to think that he would have meant a couple games.
Oh, goodness. I mean, if you added him in that receiving core with Samori Toure, I mean, that would have been really scary. We talked about that plenty of times that, they forced Wandale to play running back. And everybody knows that Wandale is a stud wide receiver, and he's been showing it all year long. Over 100 catches for the Wildcats this year. And, that kind of production, you just don't replace. And I think that would have just made this offense click that much more, and especially that he had a relationship with Adrian Martinez. Those guys knew each other, and I think if Wandale would have been able to work out exclusively at wide receiver and not have to worry about running back when he was here, it might have been a pretty magical combination, especially when you added Samori Toure into the mix this past season. I think that would have been worth at least 2 or 3 wins. Easily.
Hey, Toby. Appreciate you being here, man. Toby says, been shopping all day in Omaha. Got home just in time to tune in. Turn on the best podcast on the net every Tuesday night.
Boy, Toby.
I don't know what he's listening to, but you should let us know. Working on your helmet, Mark. Should be done curing next week. I'll take it. Let's get it up here. Appreciate that, Toby.
Is that a helmet with your likeness on it?
I thought it was a Nebraska helmet.
Well, that'd be cool. Maybe
either one.
A Mark Rogers face on the side, on one side, and a Nebraska N on the other side.
All right. I have to approve the picture. It's got to be one that's at least about 15 years old. All right.
I'd like that.
Let's see what we got from folks. Well, let's get to this. So we've also got defensive back Nadab Joseph.
Oh, yeah, Nadab Joseph. Yeah, no longer with the team. That's kind of all we know right now. I'm not sure if it was a coaching staff say you might be better off looking elsewhere, or if there was some disciplinary action involved or what, but he's no longer with the team, and as of now, he has not entered his name in the transfer portal yet. So he'd only, he'd been here a couple of years. Came out of JUCO, highly touted kid coming out of JUCO, was one of the top JUCO players in the country, and never really could see the field. He only played a handful of snaps here at Nebraska. So, yeah, not really quite sure what all the deal is with that, but it is what it is. Nebraska will move on, and we wish him the best.
Absolutely. And I got to think that they're getting close on the coaching front, but nothing to report there.
Yeah, it's been pretty slow news coming out. You're still kind of, and I'm expecting an announcement by the end of the week. I don't think you can go much farther going in with this. And all signs point to Bill Bush, who's already on staff, being named as a special teams coordinator, which he's done well before, done similar things at LSU and stuff, and so I think that one's pretty done deal, and been a no-brainer the whole time. Running backs coach wise, for a while we were thinking that Ron Brown would probably be named the running backs coach, which he's done here before under other coaching staffs, but it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. And Nebraska, there's a couple of guys out there that names have been mentioned quite a bit, and I think that Nebraska is going to narrow that down this week and finally get their coaching staff nailed down here before moving forward, because you still have you really still need to add another running back to what they've got right now, and you're kind of thinking that you want your running back coach in place that might have a guy in mind to kind of bring with him, because we've seen a lot of these coaching carousel that's going on around the country right now, that lots of kids that were committed to certain schools and coaching staffs are no longer committed to those schools anymore. And we saw that with Nebraska bringing in Mickey Joseph from LSU, that there's been a lot of offers going out to former LSU commits, and even more along the lines of class of 2023 recruits that Mickey Joseph was recruiting for LSU. So you see Nebraska going out and they're trying to make some offers, and there's still a couple of pretty highly coveted running backs out there that are in the high school ranks right now that Nebraska could possibly land here in the second signing day coming up here in February. And that's really all that I would expect if we're going to talk about the recruiting class, besides Nebraska adding transfer portal guys. That there might be one or two highly recruited high school kids that are still out there uncommitted that Nebraska might make a big push for to come up on signing day. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things in motion right now, and you need to get that running backs coach nailed down and in place, and then you can finish out this recruiting class, and then move on to the spring and start working on what you've got, what you accumulated, and what you missed or what you're losing from last year's team.
Trevante Citizen is the highest. He's the highest rated running back that's still on the board.
Yeah, he is, and his name's been thrown around quite a bit. But truthfully, at this point, I think that might be a long shot for Nebraska to land Citizen. Obviously, that's the guy that everybody wants. But there's a kid out of Minnesota that's intriguing. That I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he might be one. But yes, I mean, Citizen's a guy that they're after. I mean, he's definitely coveted, and they are working on him, and that would be a big get. But we'll see, and that's just my opinion right now, saying that it's a long shot. because obviously we know that my opinion doesn't count that much.
Hey. Come on now.
I've been known to be wrong quite a bit in the recruiting game, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I stopped counting, but at least 5 of the top 50 running backs in the country are still available, and more down the list here.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there, and Nebraska's an intriguing place right now because it's got a running back room that's completely up in the air. Right, you really don't have a number one guy, and it's an open competition for that spot. And if you're good and you want to compete for a starting job at a Power 5 school, why wouldn't you want to come here?
Yeah. Camden Royal, would that be your guy?
He's another name that's been on there.
He's out of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I was looking for a Minnesota running back.
Yeah. So it's just right now with what's going on. Okay, you can't. January 4th, like I mentioned earlier, January 14th is kind of a key date there, which I mentioned that Chubba Purdy's coming in for his official visit. That's the first official visit weekend that you're allowed to have official visitors on campus. So, we're a little bit over a week away from that date. So I expect that we're going to hear some more names of running backs that are coming in here for some visits here before final signing day coming up. So there's a lot going on. There's definitely a lot going on. And, another point about getting that running backs coach in here and stuff is that, you're opening up now. You're coming into the time where you're hosting junior days and stuff, and you're really getting hot and heavy on that 2023 recruiting class. So you want to be able to have all your coaches in place and entrenched, and then start impressing some of these young men, and when you get them into Lincoln here, because like we've said many times, when you can get a kid here on campus, you got a pretty darn good chance of landing him. Once they see what's all going on around here, it kind of changes a lot of kids' opinions that have never been here before.
Moonbot's letting us know that if he wins the Powerball, the Huskers will be set. He'll kick in with that NIL money.
All right. You let me know, Moonbot. You got my number. We'll get it rolling. We'll grab all the best talent out of the country. They'll love it.
If I'm not mistaken, Zach Evans was the first 5-star ever signed at TCU. Running back, turned in his first season, but he has entered the transfer portal as well.
And I'm trying not to drop names here. I'm gonna say this, and this might be about Zach Evans, but Nebraska does have a big time guy that is in the transfer portal that's basically signed, sealed, and delivered right now, and that will be announced here in the next couple of days, I'm thinking. And I'm not saying that's Zach Evans or not, but that's a possibility because I don't know who it is. I have no idea who it is, but there is somebody there that is ready to make it public and sign on the dotted line. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right, Alan, we appreciate you being here and encouraging everyone to show up and show out and hit the like button. And we would like to sponsor this show, so hit me up if you have any contacts with any potential sponsors. Hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail.
Moonbot, right there. You win the lottery, buddy. You're sponsoring.
Oh, man. Yeah, you can spare a few grand. Send the rest of it NIL. I get it. Nebraska gets the big money, but save a few. Save a few for us. All right. Look at Navy Thomas is here.
Hey, Navy, back in the game. Love it.
Navy Thomas is the subscriber that is the longest running, that is still active, that I still see him comment and show up. I don't know how long Navy Thomas has been watching, but Navy Thomas, you're you're our guy. So
might be the greatest college football fan on the planet. Um, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, he backs it up. He really can. He backs it up. He's a very smart football guy.
absolutely, absolutely, he is. What are they doing down at Texas A&M? I know this is off topic in terms of Nebraska football, but Mike, they had the number one recruiting class on National Signing Day.
Yeah.
And then since then, they've probably signed. I've got a Texas A&M guy from 247 that I bring in all the time and talk to. But anyway, I can't remember it. They've signed at least like 3 other top 5 guys at their position since they had the number one class.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, Jimbo, man, give him some credit. He's got him fired up there in Aggie land for some reason, and he's kind of making this whole recruiting rankings thing look silly all of a sudden. A team that you're not used to seeing up there at the top of the recruiting rankings like they are. And boy, I don't know. I mean, wasn't it just a couple of months ago when people were saying that Jimbo was leaving Texas A&M?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's just bizarre. And hats off to him. You know what? I mean, hey, Aggie Land, they got to be happy. They really do. And it's a place that I've often called College Station, especially when you go there in August. I call that hell on earth. I mean, it's just scorching hot down there. If you've ever been to the Texas State 7-on-7 finals, they're played there at Texas A&M University, and my goodness, it's hot. And I've had a lot of unpleasant experiences in College Station, but I still respect the hell out of them. I have a lot of fun there too, so don't get me wrong. But I love what they're doing down there, and I think it's kind of funny that you see Oklahoma and Texas trying to join the SEC after you see Texas A&M and what they're doing here as an SEC member, and what that's done to their recruiting is unbelievable. Because I don't think you wouldn't see that happening if Texas A&M was still in the Big 12. I don't think they'd be up there even close to the number one spot. I don't care who their coach was and stuff, but yeah, there's something special going on there right now. And Jimbo Fisher, man, hats off to you, brother.
The only time I've been to College Station was for the NCAA baseball tournament, and it was, excuse me, it was in late May. And so this is, the last weekend of May, Memorial Day weekend, sometime in that range. And it was hot enough then. It was like 102.
And there's nothing around there. I mean, there's like no shade or anything. That's what sucks. I mean,
yeah, it's just beating down on you.
You can't escape the sun or the heat.
I did think it was a fun baseball atmosphere, though. You've got the ballpark, and they've got the train that comes right behind the outfield fence, and it's a great setting.
It's a beautiful campus. It really, I mean, they have pumped a lot of resources into that campus. The football stadium is amazing. And it really is a fun town. It's a fun town to go out and enjoy in the evenings and stuff. It's just a super fun little college town. It really is.
And to your point about Jimbo, one of the smartest things that he said to squash those rumors when they were really pushing hard the media about him going to LSU was, speak of the recruiting class, he said, "Do you really think I'd be bringing in these recruiting classes that I'm going to have to play against?"
Yeah. I thought that was genius. I laughed. Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Never mind me. Mark and Greg, thank you for doing this every week. It's off topic, but I can't watch the championship game. Watching a game that I just watched 2 weeks ago is ridiculous. A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, I get it. But you know what? They're the two best teams, and like we said a little bit earlier in the show, they deserve to play each other for the title, in my opinion. So, maybe they'll come out different this time. I mean, you know what? Everybody thought Georgia was going to win that game 2 weeks ago. and look what Alabama did. So,
Well, that's one project I'm going to take on. I'm going to look at rematches to see how that typically does play out, because you would think, well, they're the same two teams. Why wouldn't it be the same result? But heck, look at an NBA Finals series or any they play 7 games, and one night somebody wins by 12, the next night they lose by 20, and they're the same exact teams.
Or an NFL conference.
Sure.
Bears playing the Packers. Well, that's not a good example. Sorry.
No, the Packers always win that one.
Yeah, never mind.
You need to get Aaron Rodgers out of town.
Yep.
But yeah, so we shall see. And like you, if I felt as though the things were being manipulated to give those teams the spot, I would want to see that, i.e. Alabama, LSU in 2011. There's a situation where I thought, and I think it proved out, they were the 2 best teams in college football, but they had already played, and Oklahoma State was sitting right there with 1 loss as a conference champion and should have been given an opportunity as a conference champion to play LSU for the national championship. This is a whole other deal. We've got a playoff, and even though I'm not crazy about the playoff, it's at least you have to earn your way in to the championship game, and they both did that. So,
well, you know what? Michigan and Cincinnati had their chances, right? So what else can you say?
And anybody else that would be close to that. Notre Dame had its chance, but they lost head-to-head to Cincinnati. Ohio State had its shot, but they lost to Michigan.
And you know what? In my opinion, too, if you had a 12-team playoff this year right now, I think you still end up with Alabama and Georgia playing each other at the end.
Yeah.
So
they are the best teams. They are the best teams.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. I don't think, for as talented as Ohio State is, that they're up to it this year defensively. And man, we talk recruiting rankings all the time, and I don't want to plug the other guys. Greg, I don't know if Rivals does anything similar to this, but they've got a team talent rankings. I don't know if you've ever seen this, where you can plug in any year and it'll show you. So it would basically show that in 2021, that these are the most talented teams in the country, 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 130. And it's based not just on one particular class, but it adds the entire roster together.
Yeah, that's cool. It must be, you're talking about 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're innovators, and Rivals is still in the Stone Age, quite frankly, as far as that goes. So, not a big deal, but yeah, I mean, that's cool as hell. And hats off to Shannon Terry and Bobby Burton and those guys at 24/7.
Well, I bring that up because I've been referencing that because in 2021, these are the 6 most talented teams in the country. Alabama's number 1, Georgia's 2, Ohio State's 3, Clemson's 4, LSU's 5, Oklahoma's 6. Think about the college football playoff. Those are the 6 teams that have basically almost completely made up the playoff. Yeah.
Notre Dame's probably 7, I bet you, on that list, probably. Yeah, it's not hard to guess. That's what you see year in and year out. The results of your recruiting and the way you finish the season is directly correlated like that. I've mentioned that many a times. And you know what? Science backs it up right there. You just saw it.
I will have to follow up on this when I get off the air, but D-Rock Irish is telling us that, and I don't know if you're familiar with this Wisconsin offensive lineman, Carson Hinsman. He is committed to Ohio State. He headed down to, I believe, the Buckeyes in Wisconsin. All right.
I haven't heard his name thrown around much. I haven't, so my bad.
Let's see. No.
Well, it's good to hear from D-Rock, though. He likes chiming in on our Husker show quite often.
Yes, he does.
He's a closet Husker fan.
Yeah, he won't admit it, but Gabe Irvin's name's getting tossed around in the chat quite a bit about him having a big 2022.
Hey, yeah, he was already off to a good start before he got hurt. And he already, he solidified himself as Nebraska's #1 back early on. And it was just a shame to see his season cut short like that. But you know what? It did let Ramir Johnson to resurge a little bit and put his name back on the map too. So I like going forward. I like that 1-2 punch of Gabe Urban and Ramir Johnson that Nebraska does have already in their stable of running backs. And you always want to keep adding talent to that pool. And I if Gabe can stay healthy, I think it's his job to lose right now. If you ask me today, right now, yeah.
Daniel's a first timer. Mark and Greg, thank you for your show. First timer. Love what you do. Appreciate that. Be back here next Tuesday at 6 Central. We're live every Tuesday night.
Yes,
and
we are.
There's D-Rock Irish.
We wouldn't do it any other way. Yeah, see, I told you.
Andy, who is the West Division favorite for 2022? Iowa. They have a lot of all-conference players coming back. They're a quarterback away from elite.
I think obviously until things change, the West goes through Iowa City and Madison. That's the way it's been, and that's the way it's going to be. And obviously, there's a lot of teams that have vastly improved in the West. Just to mention a few: Minnesota, Purdue. Look at Purdue with what they did.
I was just going to say,
my goodness. I mean, Coach Braum, he's got it working there in Purdue now. So there's a lot. I mean, the Big Ten West has gotten a lot better. When Nebraska joined the Big Ten, people thought it would be a pushover. Nebraska's going to dominate this side of the conference, and obviously that hasn't happened. And there's a lot of good. And you can't ever rule out Northwestern. They might not look like they're good on paper, but they always have something going on there too. So there's a lot of good teams in the West nowadays. Illinois is an up and coming team as well with Coach Bielema. It's not. There's no more of those days where you walk in to a game on Saturday expecting to win. I just don't see that anymore. It's strange. I mean, even look at the other side of the conference too. When Rutgers was in a bowl game and stuff, which is cool, with a 5-win season. But Maryland is good now too, and boy, it's just hard to call the Big Ten these days. Parity is starting to catch up, especially on the West side.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. The Western Division is my favorite division in college football because I think there are other divisions like the ACC Coastal, the Pac-12 South. There's some other divisions that they're competitive just because there's basically nobody that's that good. The Big Ten West, nobody's elite, but man, when you look at this past season, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Purdue, those are 4 of the top 20 teams in the country. They legitimately have 4 of the top 20 teams in the country. And Nebraska, of course, played right with all of them when they played them. We know what the story is with Nebraska. But yeah, Purdue, my goodness, that bowl game that they won against Tennessee, that was
one of the funnest games.
Oh, it was a great game.
Unbelievable. And I'm a Nashville guy. I still own a house in Nashville. So that just added so much more flavor to it for me personally. But what a game. I mean, how many times can you go back and forth in that fourth quarter? It was crazy. Big play after big play. And every time you thought Purdue was like, oh, no, they just gave it back away. Then here they came again. Unbelievable grit that I saw out of that Boilermaker squad. Just great game.
Purdue did not have David Bell, one of the best receivers
Yeah.
in the country. They did not have George Karlaftis, one of the best defensive ends in the country. They were missing Dylan Wright, their second receiver, and they were missing some secondary guys.
And they got a fullback playing running back.
Yeah, yeah, Horvath. And yeah, that was after I saw that game. I couldn't say it enough. This is why bowl season is still great. Is you had two really good teams. Sure, they're not playing for a championship, but they're just really good, talented teams that have a lot of firepower, and they're in a stadium that's packed, and the place is going nuts. It was just,
yeah,
and you can't tell me that
City Bowl.
and I know that there are certain players obviously opting out and so forth, but I'm watching all these bowl games, and especially once we get to Power 5 play, because that's what I watch and that's what I see most of the time. Just you combine the talent with, you can't tell me that these kids aren't giving their best. These are hard hitting, intense games.
Yeah.
That game, the Rose Bowl. You brought up Wan'Dale Robinson. The Iowa-Kentucky game was a great game.
Yes, just
had a lot more defense, but it was a great mix of offense and defense in that game. You're talking two excellent teams going at it.
Forth. Yeah,
it was great.
Just such entertaining football that we saw this past week. It was amazing. I couldn't be happier to actually have been able to be home and watch all this stuff, because most of the times I don't get to see a lot of these bowl games because I'm on the road, and I'll see a few minutes of a bowl game here and there from the hotel room. But no, I was here, and I watched more bowl games this year than I have in a very, very long time, and I thought it was awesome. I was so entertained for the whole week. It was great.
Moonbot, anyone taking LSU money line tonight? This is what I will tell you, Moonbot, is that from what I understand, LSU is going to be on the field with less than 40 scholarship players.
Oh,
like they've got
them too in our pool, didn't I?
Well, I'm not saying that they're not going to win, because
I can change it.
I guarantee they're more talented than Kansas State. They've got their full complement of players, but Max Johnson, their starting quarterback, he's transferred, so he's not playing. So that's a guessing game.
And a coaching staff that's been decimated.
Yes.
That's hard, especially to be playing this late. For what is that? The Dallas Bowl?
The Texas Bowl. Yep.
The Texas Bowl. Obviously, I'm sure two teams, LSU and Kansas State, that would have preferred to be in a bowl game not called the Texas Bowl and being played here after January 1st. So, but it is a bowl game, and it is the last college football game before the championship game, and you would just like to see LSU at their full complement. Otherwise, Kansas State just might have a lot of fun tonight. We'll just put it that way.
Well, I'm going to be watching.
I wonder if Adrian Martinez will be there on the sidelines.
Yeah.
That might be something worth Husker fans tuning in for, to see if you can get a glimpse of Adrian Martinez there and his girlfriend, the soccer player.
There you go. All right, folks, I think we pretty much wrapped it up. There's a number of people dropping comments and questions in the live chat. Keep in mind that we've knocked it out for about 55 minutes here. So Greg's addressed a lot of the questions that you're placing into the live chat now. So just wait for the video to post. It'll take about 15 minutes. You can watch the whole thing. You might even be able to watch it before it posts. I don't know that for sure, but definitely within about 15 minutes, the video will be uploaded and ready to roll for you to watch what you missed. Otherwise, we've had about 100 and up to about 130 online. So we appreciate everybody being here. And guess what? It would be amazing if you all grabbed about 3 people, brought them back with you next week to help us grow the show.
We'll talk to all of you. The more
we will. We do that. And I don't see too many shows out there where they talk to everybody and try to catch up every possible comment in the live chat coming in. How does your week look?
Well, I
What
was
are you working on this week?
I just wanted to do comment that I've seen a lot of praise with Coach Raiola and the offensive line, and hoping that that he's going to get these guys whipped into shape. And I think the same way. And it might be the best thing that's happened to Nebraska in a long time if that offensive line can start playing the way that Nebraska fans are used to. Well, at least back in the day when the pipeline was rocking hard. So and not saying anything bad about Coach Greg Austin, the former offensive line coach, but maybe it just wasn't his coaching style just wasn't a fit for the Big Ten, and just wasn't as successful as it was when that coaching staff was in the AAC there at Central Florida. So it would be a big boost if you can get an offensive line playing at a top notch level, especially in the Big Ten West, like we've just talked about how competitive it is. But other than that, what do I have going on? Not a whole lot. We're just waiting for news to break right now, and kind of hanging out inside. It finally got cold here and snowed for the first time this winter, we'll say. But we're just waiting for news to come down to get this coaching staff filled out, ready to go, and see what other additions that Nebraska's going to add here to the roster.
There you have it, folks. We will see you all back here next Tuesday night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, Nebraska Cornhuskers Live. Meanwhile, check out Greg's work there on Husker Online, both on the rival site, but also here on YouTube. Just put in Husker Online. We'll see you all next week.
See you guys later.